Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling someone pretty fascinating and definitely complex.
Yeah, we are. We're diving into the world of a creator named Jimmy James.
Exactly. And we've had requests, asking us to sort of break down who he is, what his viewpoints are, and especially this music he talks about.
Right. Raplet-style poetry, I think he calls it. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. So our mission today is basically a character breakdown. We've got podcast metadata, descriptions, bits of his own spoken word, quite a bit to go on, actually.
And what emerges is this figure who's, well, he's part comedian, maybe part self-help guy, and definitely part experimental artist. It's a strange mix.
It is. And he throws this paradox right at you from the start, his official title.
Oh yeah, the host who brings you insanity at its finest.
I mean, talk about setting expectations. It's a huge claim.
It really is, and that's the central puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does someone build a brand around insanity, but then consistently end every show, every piece of communication with this very simple, very grounded message?
Take care of yourself and one another.
Exactly. That phrase. It's this constant anchor in all the chaos he seems to cultivate.
So that's what we're trying to figure out for you today. How does this creator manage and, try to monetize this level of extreme self-exposure and, frankly, chaotic creativity?
Yeah, it's a real deep dive into how someone uses radical transparency, maybe.
Okay, so three main parts to this. First, we need to really get into the persona itself, this whole insanity branding and the aliases he uses.
Then second, look at the actual content of the Jimmy James Show AZ. He promises everything and anything. So what does that actually mean? What are the core viewpoints coming through?
Right. And third, and this seems crucial for understanding his artistic side, we need to decode this raplet-style poetry, or sometimes he calls it rap bullets.
Yeah, those terms. We need to figure out what that actually is. It seems really tied to his identity.
So basically, we're looking at, a 5.5-year project, a long-term experiment in maybe weaponizing authenticity.
Or maybe just weaponizing chaos and trying to build a community. And let's be honest, trying to make a living from it.
Okay, let's start with the man himself, the persona. Insanity at its finest.
Right. Jimmy James is the host name, but it's not the only one he uses. Not by a long shot.
No, you see him pop up elsewhere, right?
Exactly. There's Jim O'Hara, which sounds pretty normal. But then you get these others. IG Unit Killer X.
Unit Killer X. That sounds intense.
It does. And the official Unit Killer X on YouTube and at Unit Killer X on Xbox. It's like a collection of different identities.
So what do you think that's about? Is it just online handles or is it something more deliberate, part of the act?
I lean towards it being part of the performance. It fits the insanity brand, doesn't it? Like the personality is too big, too fragmented maybe to stick to one name.
So the different names reflect different facets.
Possibly. The Unit Killer X thing definitely sounds more combative, more disruptive, maybe while Jimmy James is the host trying to, hold it all together. It could be a way of showing that internal chaos he talks about so much.
And he really does talk about it. He's incredibly open, especially in his own descriptions. It's like he gives you an inventory of his own psyche.
He does, and it's quite specific. He starts off calling himself a master bullshit manipulator.
Which is, wow. Talk about putting your cards on the table.
But then immediately he tries to soften it, saying he brings reasonable ideas and thoughts.
That's such a contradiction, though, isn't it? If someone tells you up front they're manipulating you.
How can you trust the reasonable thoughts?
Yeah. Or even that final message, take care of yourself. Is that just another layer of the manipulation?
It's a fair question. But I think it might be the opposite. In today's world, maybe that kind of brutal honesty, even self-incriminating honesty, actually builds trust.
How so?
Well, think about it. Everyone's tired of polished, perfect online personas, right? So he comes out and says, look, I'm a mess. I might even be bullshitting you. Be skeptical. By admitting the potential for manipulation, he paradoxically sounds more authentic.
Like he's disarming your skepticism by validating it.
Exactly. It's a weird kind of trust building through self-sabotage. And he doesn't stop there with the self-description.
No, he gets really specific about the source of the chaos.
Right. He calls himself a crazy person with a splash of curiosity and a hint of OCD and a gigantic splash of ADHD.
He directly links his creative style, the speed, the A to Z jumping around.
Yeah.
He links it all to ADHD.
Yes. He's essentially saying, this isn't just random noise. This is how my brain works, and the show reflects that. The insanity brand becomes an explanation rooted in his neurotype.
And there's a weird humility mixed in, too. He calls himself just an idiot who talks in his phone.
Yeah, lowering expectations maybe, but then he promises to give you something to digest. So it's like, I'm nothing special, but listen anyway. There's value here. It's a strange little contract with the listener.
And the thing is, he's stuck with it. This hasn't been a short-lived thing.
Not at all. The sources show the podcast running from 2020 basically up to now, 2025. Over 276 episodes mentioned. That's, well, he mentions 5.5 years himself.
5.5 years of being consistently chaotic? That takes a certain kind of discipline, ironically.
It does, and he knows it. He calls the show a testament to my longevity of staying the same course, but getting better with time.
So the chaos isn't accidental. It's a developed style, a brand he's committed to long-term.
Precisely. It forces you to see the insanity not as a bug, but as a feature. A deliberate, evolving method.
But, commitment doesn't always pay the bills. He's also really open about the money side, or lack thereof.
Yeah, this is where the radical transparency gets, well, really raw. He straight up says he has no other income except this, and that this makes me nothing.
Wow.
And he asks for ads, encourages support. He doesn't hide that struggle. He makes the financial reality part of the narrative.
Which, again, probably makes him seem more real, more relatable to listeners who might also be struggling.
I think so. It removes that barrier between creator and audience. You're getting the unfiltered reality, including the financial stress.
And he couples that vulnerability with this desire for real connection. He gives out email addresses.
Yeah, multiple ones. And specifically invites people to reach out about mental health stuff, especially if they don't feel they can talk to family.
That's quite something.
It really is. And this is where that master manipulator persona seems to just dissolve. He's linking his own struggles, the anxiety, the ADHD he talks about, directly to wanting to help others.
So the public vulnerability becomes a tool for building community.
Exactly. The insanity brand suddenly isn't just a gimmick. It's a signal of solidarity. I get it. I'm going through it too. Let's talk. It shifts the whole meaning.
Okay, so that's the persona. Let's talk about the actual show. The Jimmy James Show, AZ, what is the content?
Well, it's officially tagged as comedy. But that A to Z promise, everything in anything, that's the key.
So it's broad.
Extremely. The description says it has a distinguished taste towards comedy and stories about just anything that gets a laugh. But the invitation he gives listeners really tells the story.
What's the invitation?
Come chill, relax, laugh, cry, or even try to understand the insanity you just clicked on.
Chill, laugh, cry, or just be confused. That covers a lot of ground. Sounds like an emotional ride.
Yeah, you don't quite know what you're going to get. And he labels it explicit, so that sets a certain tone, too.
Okay, so pillar number 1 seems to be just that. Comedy and craziness.
Definitely. He embraces the idea of it being the basement ramblings of a crazy person or processed bullshit. He even does segments like, whose line is it? Movie quotes, jokes.
And it's all delivered in that fast, unfiltered style.
Seems like it. Consistent with the persona, the ADHD explanation, the chaos is the delivery method, low production value, just raw thoughts.
But you mentioned earlier there's this other strong current running through it.
Absolutely. The second, and maybe the most defining pillar, is mental health and advocacy.
How does that fit with the explicit chaotic comedy? Seems like an odd pairing.
I think the rawness makes it work. It's not a polished TED Talk on wellness. It's someone talking openly, using rough language maybe, about mental health and well-being, because honestly, it's really about helping anyone out there going through a bad day in this weird world we all live in.
So the lack of polish makes the message feel more genuine, like it's coming from someone in the struggle, not above it.
Exactly that. It breaks down formality. It creates a space where maybe it feels okay to not be okay.
And he reinforces that personal connection, right, saying he deals with the same struggles.
Yeah, he assures listeners dealing with anxiety or ADHD that he's still the same person and deals with the same struggles. That's huge.
Why, huge.
Because he's not claiming to be cured or to have all the answers. He's positioning himself as a fellow traveler. That's incredibly relatable for anyone going through similar things. It normalizes the ongoing nature of managing mental health.
Okay, so comedy, chaos, mental health support. Is there anything else in this A to Z mix?
Well, there's a mention of a third pillar, worldviews.
Ah, so current events, maybe politics.
Potentially. The description mentions discussions on the worldviews. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But again, you have to assume it's filtered through his very specific lens.
So not exactly news analysis, more like
More like hearing how current events are processed by as he puts it, a crazy person doing basement ramblings. It's the world digested through that unique, high-energy, explicit perspective.
So you've got this whirlwind of content jokes, serious mental health talk, maybe some world commentary, all wrapped in this insane delivery.
Yeah.
And yet it always comes back to that one phrase at the end.
Take care of yourself and one another. Every time, apparently. It's the constant, the moral compass point in the storm.
So how do we square that? Is the heartfelt message genuine, or is it, like we discussed earlier, the cleverest part of the master manipulator act?
It's the core question, isn't it? You could argue the cynical view. The niceness makes the abrasive stuff palatable, keeps you listening.
This humanizes the chaos.
Right. But given the sheer length of time he's been doing this, the consistency of that message, and how directly he links it to his own vulnerability and outreach,
Do you think it's real?
I lean towards yes. It feels more like the chaos, the insanity brand is the hook. It's the loud noise needed to get noticed. But once he has your attention, the real message, the core viewpoint he wants to impart, is that simple, empathetic one.
So the aggression is the vehicle, but the destination is mutual support.
I think that makes the most sense of the evidence. His overall viewpoint isn't really political, it seems. It's about radical self-expression, being open about struggles, and urging basic human kindness. The chaos is just the delivery system.
Okay, that framework helps. Now let's get into what might be the most concrete expression of that chaos. The music, raplet-style poetry.
Right. This seems to be where his self-described mental landscape, the ADHD, the insanity, gets formalized into an actual artistic structure.
Or lack of structure, maybe.
Well, he gives it labels. Raplet-style poetry and rap bullets. And he offers some clues about the style. He says it's rap battle-tested, two-day-lit wit.
Okay, let's break that down. Rap battle-tested suggests speed, maybe aggression, like you're ready for a verbal fight.
Yeah, quick rhymes, punchlines, density, and two-day-lit wit. Wit. Maybe like literature or just intense, packed with meaning. And wit, obviously cleverness.
So fast, dense, clever, confrontational poetry or rap.
Seems like it, and his description of the structure backs that up. He says the sentences are built out of shorthand and emotional swells with building intensities.
Shorthand, emotional swells, building intensities.
It sounds like trying to capture racing thoughts, doesn't it? If you're trying to articulate the feeling of, say, an ADHD mind processing things rapidly, shorthand and rapid emotional swells make perfect sense.
So rap bullets is like lyrical machine gun fire. Short, intense bursts.
That's exactly the image it evokes. Highly concentrated bursts of language and feeling. It's not about smooth flow, maybe. It's about impact and speed.
So is this art as a coping mechanism, a way to get the noise out?
It could well be. Therapeutically, maybe. But presented as a distinct art form. It definitely seems different from, say, traditional spoken word poetry, which might focus more on narrative or consistent rhythm. This sounds like it prioritizes velocity, immediacy, the sound of the internal state, unfiltered.
And he ties this directly to the listener's mind, too, doesn't he? There's that quote.
Yeah, the quote about who the music is for, it's a tricky one.
What does he say?
He says he puts it out for you people with mentally challenged brains. Because, and this is the key part, I can relate. Because you're listening to me and I am top of the food chain when it comes to that.
Whoa, top of the food chain of mentally challenged brains. That sounds kind of arrogant or dismissive.
It could definitely land that way.
Yeah.
It risks sounding like he's positioning himself above the very people he claims to relate to.
So how do you interpret that? Why say it like that?
I think it's about radical ownership again. He's taking diagnoses that society often views negatively, things that are challenging, and he's flipping it. He's saying, this isn't a weakness, this is my artistic superpower. I understand this state so well, I'm the best at translating it into art.
So he's weaponizing the diagnosis, turning it into a badge of honor, almost.
Exactly. My perceived challenge makes me uniquely qualified, makes me top of the food chain in this specific kind of expression. It's provocative, for sure, but it's consistent with his whole embrace the chaos identity.
And he even boils it down to, like, a math equation.
Yeah, it's his little formula for himself. He connects the word alphabetically, maybe referencing the A to Z scope, with ADHD and my mental disease. And then the conclusion, basically 1 + 1 = me, H-A-H-A.
Alphabetically plus ADHD plus mental disease equals me. And the laugh. What's with the H-A? It's written out like that.
Yeah, capitalized like that. It doesn't feel like a light chuckle. It feels defiant, maybe a bit manic, like a triumphant declaration. This is it. This is the formula. Deal with it.
It's the sound of accepting, even celebrating, the combination that makes him who he is and makes his art what it is.
I think so. It's rejecting shame, turning the diagnosis into the core of his creative identity.
Okay, this is already pretty out there. But then he adds another layer, right? With AI.
Oh yeah, the AI element is fascinating.
Hmm.
He doesn't just make the rap-lit poetry. He uses artificial intelligence, large language models, to critique and analyze it
Publicly.
publicly.
So he feeds his poems to AI. Why?
It seemed to be part of the experimental process. He treats the AI like an objective critic, or maybe even a collaborator, forcing it to grapple with his subjective chaos.
We saw that in the descriptions, didn't we? Using
Yeah.
Notebook LM.
Right. He used it for critiques,
Hmm?
like the critique from Notebook LM long version. There's even mention of a 52-minute session where he gave it limited info on 8 songs and basically said, figure out what these are about.
That's wild. He's making the AI's struggle to understand his art part of the art itself.
Precisely. If the superlogical AI finds the lyrics dense or hard to parse, it kind of validates his claim that the poetry is experimental, challenging, maybe even profound in its chaos.
He even made different AIs compete, Copilot versus Gemini.
Yeah, for a full breakdown analysis of a lyric exchange from one of its songs, What Are You? It's like he's stress testing the AIs with his own work, pushing the boundaries of both his art and the technology.
And there was that trailer mentioning Gemini Pro 1.5.
Where he says something like, find out what's wrong with me and Gemini when we work together. It positions the AI almost as a co-conspirator or a fellow patient in the experiment.
So the art isn't just the poem or the rap, it's the poem, plus the creator's commentary, plus the AI's analysis, all presented together.
It seems that way. The process, the critique, the interaction with technology, it's all part of the rap-lit experience he's creating. It's deeply modern, very digital, and built entirely around his unique persona.
Okay, so given how intense and specific all this is, who is actually listening? Is this reaching people?
You'd think it might be niche, right? But the sources say the show's available pretty much everywhere. Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, US, Canada.
Wow, really? Globally?
Seems so. Which suggests that something in this mix, the chaos, the comedy, the vulnerability, that core message, is resonating across different cultures.
And he invites everyone in, doesn't he?
Yeah, that line, all people of the planet Earth are welcome, and even if you're not, please tune in.
Even if you're not from Earth. Okay, that's definitely Jimmy James.
Oh, yeah. But it reinforces that universal appeal. Everyone have bad days. Everyone lives in this weird world. Everyone can maybe connect with, take care of yourself and one another.
And do we know if listeners are connecting? Is there feedback?
There's at least one review mentioned that really validates his whole approach. The listener said, it's an insight to the thoughts of Jimmy James, so it feels like you're just having a conversation with him. Very entertaining.
Feels like you're just having a conversation. That ties into his production style, doesn't it? Or lack thereof.
Absolutely. He admits he doesn't really go back and fix things, prioritizes just getting the stuff out there raw.
Which could seem lazy, but he frames it differently.
Right. He calls his method, one, take a deep dive, a mistake, or a brilliant way to maintain my identity.
So the lack of polish is the point. It's proof of authenticity.
In this media landscape, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a strategy. By giving you the unedited, unfiltered mistakes and all, he creates that sense of intimacy. You feel like you're getting the real person, not a performance. The rough edges or the brand identity.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. We've got the chaotic persona, the aliases, the self-diagnosis driving the creativity, the A to Z content mix, the financial honesty, the rap-lit poetry with AI analysis, the raw production. What's the ultimate Jimmy James viewpoint? Who is this person based on all this?
I think his viewpoint boils down to a kind of manifesto about the power of vulnerability. He takes everything society might see as a problem, the ADHD, the mental disease, the chaos, and he doesn't just accept it, he weaponizes it, turns it into the engine for his comedy, his art, his connection with people.
So the core message isn't just the take care of yourself line, it's the entire act of radical openness.
I think so. The message is the method. It's about showing up, completely unedited, and finding strength and community in that shared imperfection. The explicit ramblings, the comedy, it's all just the delivery system for that core idea of mutual support, rooted in shared struggle.
So maybe the insanity isn't about being delusional. Maybe it's about the sheer nerve required to be that relentlessly publicly himself, mess and all.
And to use AI to help analyze that mess, it's a fascinating blend of raw humanity and cutting-edge tech, all centered on this one guy's very particular brain.
A brain he insists makes him top of the food chain for this kind of art.
Which is part of that defiant ownership. finding the discipline within the chaos.
Okay. This has been a really deep dive. We've tried
Okay.
to unpack the persona, the A to Z content, and this unique raplet style poetry. So for you listening, here's the final thought we want to leave you with.
Yeah, think about this. Jimmy James puts it all out there. The raw process, the diagnosed struggles, the money problems, everything. Does this represent some kind of necessary evolution of digital authenticity where creators have to be this vulnerable to connect?
Or is the performance of insanity, the whole chaotic package, just a really smart, calculated strategy? Is it the shock value needed to cut through all the noise online and keep a show going for over 5 years?
Authenticity or performance? Or maybe it's impossible to separate the two anymore. Something for you to think about.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Until then.
Take care of yourself and one another.